Thank you. We heard Mayor McAdams a moment ago saying his concerns come following an in-depth report published this week by our partners at the Deseret News.
Reporter Katie McKellar has been investigating allegations against Ott for more than a year and recently was able to speak with him one-on-one in what can only be described as a difficult to interpret and sometimes bizarre 45-minute conversation. Here's just a bit of that.
Don't you live in Salt Lake City?
Huh?
Don't you live in Salt Lake City?
Not really. There.
Not really?
No, I grew up in this area right there.
Where do you live?
Up in Salt Lake.
But why are you up here?
Because I got this machine right there.
You're working on machines?
Huh?
Because you're working on machines? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Well, Katie McKellar is joining us here in studio tonight. Thank you for being here. We heard again McAdams reading what you wrote yesterday. What was in that report that he found so alarming?
Well, I've spent more than 40 minutes talking with Ott, and it is quite apparent he's very difficult to understand. Sometimes his answers contradict themselves, and so, while he might have some answers, largely it's just really hard to understand what he's saying.
One of the interesting things is, as I understand, this was a chance encounter. You happened to see him on a street corner and recognized who he was and started to talk to him.
Right. I took this drive to North Ogden because I was following leads. I've heard concerns over and over from my sources that Gary's been up in North Ogden, maybe living outside of his elected district, and so I decided to take a drive to this property, and he happened to be standing right there outside on Carmen's property. So yeah, it's really interesting, and I got out and started talking with him.
In Sam's report, there was some question about attendance, which you've been reporting on for some time, too, that he is not in the office as much as those who voted him in expect him to be.
Right. You talk to people in and out of his office at the county, and some county leaders have said they haven't seen him for months on end. Some people inside of his office says he does come in maybe once a week, maybe once a month, and it's very sporadic, and it's become increasingly sporadic, especially over the last several months.
Could you make any sense of your conversation with him? Did you learn anything from him that made sense?
You know, it's difficult to definitively say any answers that he gave me make sense, because sometimes they contradict themselves. But he did kind of say, I asked him, do you live in Salt Lake? And he'd say, not really. But then you ask where he lives, and he says, in Salt Lake. And so it's hard to really learn anything from his conversation.
What do you expect to happen next?
Well, McAdams said, well, of course, McAdams has called for his resignation. Whether Ott will resign or if he's capable of resigning is remain to be seen. And so McAdams said he hopes to meet with council members or with family members or loved ones that are close to him to maybe negotiate some terms of his resignation.
They don't really have any options right at this point.
No, according to state law, there's no way to remove an independently elected official other than if they commit a high crime or malfeasance. And yeah.
Interesting. Well, good reporting work.
Thank you so much for having me.
Katie, thank you. You can listen to The Exchange and see Katie's entire report on thedeseretnews.com.